Glad to have you. I've been a big fan of yours for a very long time. I like the work you do. I liked you back when you were sheriff of Graham County. I've lived here in Arizona since dinosaurs roamed the earth. So I'm very familiar with you and the good work you've done. So thank you, sir, and welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for reminiscing there with me a little bit. It was 25 years ago that I left the Graham County Sheriff's Office.
Well, I've lived in Arizona much longer than 25 years. So I came out here originally in 1973, went to undergrad school at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and I am still a dedicated Wildcats fan. So like it or not, it may suck in football, but I still like them. So,
it's kind of a crazy thing. I grew up in Arizona as well. My father was from here. He was born in Graham County, and then he got reassigned here in the FBI in 1955, and I was basically here ever since in Graham County. And then what I really love about Arizona is you can golf all year long.
Well, sir, I do not golf. I tried to golf once and shot a perfect 81 on 9 holes. So I haven't touched sticks since then. So frustration beyond my tolerance level. Anyway, we have you on here. We want to talk about your upcoming event first. So
Yes.
why don't you tell us about this, and let's get some people informed as to what you're working on, and how let's get them informed as to how they can help as well.
Well, I founded an organization back in 2011 called the CSPOA, standing for Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. And we're dedicated to training our nation's sheriffs and police to protect and defend, uphold and preserve the United States Constitution. And that the #1 responsibility for every sheriff and peace officer in this country is to protect and guarantee the civil rights of the people we work for. Civil rights, human rights, individual liberty, and that must come first in every facet of government. Doesn't matter if you're the dog catcher or the county commissioner or a city council or the sheriff or a patrol officer patrolling neighborhoods. Your duty in each regard is to protect liberty, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That is our job. And so, one, we ask, why do you take an oath of office that you believe you don't have to keep? And so, and if you ask most people in government, if you ask all of law enforcement, do you swear an oath? And if you do, which they all have to, if you do swear an oath, how is it that you keep your oath? And do you even know why you swear an oath before you can take your job? So we deal with all of that, and we want to make sure that the integrity of keeping the oath is alive and well, and that we understand our ultimate job is to protect the American people from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And it's really sad that our own government, our own federal government, has presented itself as an enemy to liberty. I don't like saying that. I wish to God that it wasn't true, but it is. We also portray a peaceful and effective solution, and that the sheriffs and peace officers will put themselves in the way, interpose, if you will, on behalf of the people to make sure their rights are not being violated by anyone, especially government that is supposed to be there to protect them. And so this CSPOA has catapulted us into the middle of a lot of different crises going on in America. Gun control. Every sheriff and every peace officer should be preventing gun confiscation and gun control at all levels, state, local, and federal. Freedom of religion. There were actually some police and sheriffs arresting ministers for having church. One was Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, who I have met, who I've talked about this, but he was arrested by his sheriff, Sheriff Cronister in Tampa, Florida, simply because he conducted a church service. That doesn't happen in America. Oh, well, wait. Yeah, it does if there's an emergency or a crisis. No, it doesn't. Never. And we can never sacrifice essential liberties, especially the freedom of religion, at the altar of a pandemic or a disease or a virus. If that is the case, government's going to be bringing up more crises and emergencies every month, every year. And in my when I was sheriff, I sued the federal government, as you alluded to earlier. I sued the Clinton administration and won. And in that, Scalia warns us to never sacrifice liberty for the crisis of the day. That's a quote. The crisis of the day is in the decision. And so our duty is to protect liberty no matter what crisis might be going on. And so now we move forward to election fraud, and the CSPUA is sponsoring a symposium and press conference on July 12th in Las Vegas at the Ahern Hotel. Folks, if you want to attend, it's open to the public. If you know somebody in the press or media that would like to be there, please invite them. Every media outlet in the country is invited and welcome. We don't care how far left. We don't care if it's CNN or the Daily Beast or Politico or WorldNet Daily. Whoever you are and you're in the press, you're in the media, you could be a broadcast journalist or a reporter for a local newspaper. We don't care. You are welcome to attend and come and ask questions to Catherine Engelbrecht, to Greg Phillips, to Mike Lundell, to Patrick Byrne, to Sheriff Mark Lamb, to Sheriff, how about this one? Sheriff Christopher Schmaling, who has already conducted an investigation on election fraud in his county. Why did he initiate that investigation? Because one of his citizens came and complained to him that her loved one voted in the election in 2020. The only trouble is she's not capable of voting. She's in a nursing home and is invalid. And yet somebody voted for her without anybody's knowledge or permission. After he investigated it, he found 6 people who worked for the government who violated the law and are looking at felonies. His county attorney refused to prosecute because none of those people live in their county, and it didn't really appear that they specifically were in the county to commit that crime. So he suggested that he take it to the attorney general. The attorney general is a Democrat. This is in Wisconsin. And the Democrat is protecting the Democrats in their criminal episodes of election fraud. And he told the sheriff this: nice publicity stunt, Sheriff. And he didn't even look at the case or the evidence therein. And so it really appears that anybody in law enforcement or in public service who has anything to do with enforcing the law in high places, most of them are dismissing it because of their party affiliation. We're ashamed of that, and we're shocked with that. Oh yeah, well, he's gonna do that and more, and he's also getting more sheriffs on his side to investigate more. Pretty soon, the AG there, and I don't even know his name, I don't care, but the AG in Wisconsin is going to have so much placed on his desk to prosecute that he's going to have a hard time. But I agree with you, a writ of mandamus would be a good idea.
That is the next step for these prosecutors who don't want to do their job, where you can tell them with a court order to do their job. That's something. But I want to point something else out. I'm an editor for Veterans Today. Mm-hmm. And one thing about the oath of office that is taken by the military as well as sheriffs, there is no expiration date on that oath. you take that oath, and it gives you
Very true.
opportunity to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yes.
I just want to point that out so people understand that even though a guy is ex-military, he still is bound by that oath to do that job.
Amen.
And that is a critical factor that a lot of people seem to have forgotten.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that to people's attention, because I think it's important, particularly in this day when we're dealing with such rampant voter fraud, voter theft, that people are not doing. Now, my next question for you is, when we have people who are not honoring their oath of office, how do we punish them? What is the penalty for doing this? Do we come with treason, sedition, just breach of contract? I mean, what are the options for we the people who have people who are serving in office who aren't doing the job they've sworn to do?
That's the $10,000 question. I'm glad you asked it. It's all of those crimes that you mentioned, but it is at the very least, it is a criminal complaint. It's a criminal act to swear an oath and then intentionally break it. That's called perjury. And it is at the very least the crime of perjury. I believe it could reach the level of treason very easily. When you swear to uphold and defend the Constitution and you intentionally do the opposite against the Constitution,
You also commit fraud
I believe it could
by
be
swearing an oath and then not following through and implementing the oath you've sworn to uphold. It
right.
seems like there's a number of things in there, and fraud initiates all other things, so it precedes everything. So anything that guy did while he was in office, not upholding his oath, should be dismissed. I mean, anything else that he has done, whether good or bad, could be reversed, I would think.
Right. Yeah, and I think that it kind of goes to the Thomas Paine warning when he wrote Common Sense. He actually, at the beginning, he says, a long habit of not thinking a thing to be wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right. And so all of this is part of that. The long habit of not thinking, of not keeping your oath of office to be wrong, that is wrong. It's immoral. The founding fathers believed that once we give our word to keep an oath, that the argument is over. But that presupposes that each person taking the oath will know and understand the Constitution to which they swore an oath to uphold and defend. So you can't keep an oath if you don't know the document that you swore to uphold and defend. You must know those principles. Every peace officer, every sheriff must know and understand the basic tenets of the Bill of Rights and why it was put in there. What was the intent of the founding fathers when they promulgated the Bill of Rights 2 years after the original Constitution? Well, it was a list of untouchables. It was a list of principles of liberty that could never be violated by government. The Bill of Rights was written, well, sort of for us, but it was a direct list of what government had to do, what government could not do, and what government was supposed to do to make sure these rights would be held sacred and never violated.
Well, it seems that we're dealing with people who are somewhat communist, Bolsheviks.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems that their end justifies the means. So they will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will blackmail, they will bribe, they will even murder in order to get their way, to get their form of government.
Yeah.
How do we, as a people, resist this? How do we stop these guys short of a civil war? I mean, no one wants to advocate for violence. I'm not going to do that. However,
no,
I will defend this Constitution. I will defend this country and my people. But how do we? What is our course of action? Well,
if we're going to keep this peaceful, which we advocate, we do not advocate any violence. But yet, you and I both agree that the founding fathers were correct in the Revolutionary War. So obviously, there's a time and a place for violent rebellion. And the Second Amendment actually guarantees us the right to rebel. And so now it's no wonder why government tyrants and dictators don't want the peasants to own guns. And they'll use any excuse they can to disarm us so that they can more effectively control us. And we've seen that a lot the last 5 years, especially the last 2 years. So this is what we need to do. We need to erect the barriers, as James Madison put it, erect the barriers against the encroachments of the national authority. How do we do that? We do it county by county and state by state. And the governors and the sheriffs and the state legislatures and the county commissions must be united in this holy cause. But the bottom line, the sheriff is the ultimate defense of liberty. He's the ultimate line in the sand. And so he must take that stand, and hopefully we, the people, his posse, his militia, that we're standing with him in defense of liberty in our county. Several counties have declared themselves to be constitutional sanctuaries or constitutional counties. Many more have declared themselves to be Second Amendment sanctuaries. All that's good, but we need to take that to a little bit the next level and saying the Bill of Rights will be enforced in this county, and anyone violating the Bill of Rights, we will take criminal action against you. And so you preemptively notify all federal bureaucrats and agents and all state bureaucrats and agents that the Bill of Rights will be enforced strictly in your county. The first question, if any of them object, how could you do that? Who would that hurt if we're enforcing the Bill of Rights, the principles of liberty that the founding fathers added to the Constitution as a list of untouchables? This was to make sure that there was no misconstruction of the principles of liberty that were to be protected at all costs. If government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, it is the duty of the people to throw off such government. And we hope that we can throw off such government in a peaceful manner so that violence does not occur. Let me tell you something right here and now, Mike. If the sheriffs of this country, and I would say at least 1,000, which would be a third of all the sheriffs, if 1,000 sheriffs dedicate themselves to their jobs as a true constitutional sheriff, and they, in the execution of their jobs, defend the principles as detailed in the Bill of Rights, we will take America back and we will win, and there won't need to be a single shot fired and nobody needs to be arrested. As long as these federal and state bureaucrats mind their manners and leave the people alone, we're going to get along just fine. But if they refuse, then the sheriff is going to have to take more serious action against them, maybe even arrest a few of these guys. And in fact, I've prayed for the last several years that a sheriff would stand up and arrest IRS agents for breaking the law and violating the rights of the people.
We have hope for that as well.
Yes.
I look at our government today, and this goes back to Obama. This goes all the way back to when they murdered Kennedy. I look at how our government has gotten increasingly toxic to the will of the people and to the people themselves. So they want to strip us of our freedoms. They want to control us in many ways. And anyone who resists or says no, they want to crush. And they're not reflecting the will of our people. I look back at the Reagan administration when Ollie North joined John Poindexter and William Colby were employed in cocaine to sell it to the black inner cities in committing crimes. And yet Reagan pardoned them when they were committing treason and harming the American people they were sworn to protect. These things go back. It's both sides. It's left and right. It's Democrats and Republicans.
Right.
And I look at how our country has been malmanaged for such a long, long time. And we have so many things that need to be corrected that are within our means to correct. We just have to have the political will to do it. But the bad guys are well-funded and they're well-organized. And we're underfunded and disorganized. How do we coalesce? How do we find ourselves a self-organizing collective here to oppose the tyranny they're trying to impose upon us?
Well, first of all, the solution that we offer is very people oriented, and every citizen, every American can join our posse at cspoa.org, CISPOA, cspoa.org. Become a part of the solution with us. Your monthly dues or annual dues help keep us funded. And Mike, you just alluded to this. I'm telling you, if the CSPOA really had the funding, and I mean serious funding, I believe we would already have this solution completely in place and intact. That we would be, we've already seen from hundreds of sheriffs in the country, but we're only talking about maybe 200 to 300 at the most, that have actually taken a strong stand against federal and state governments that have gone too far in pushing the mandate for masks or vaccines or social distancing or shutdowns. Like I said, arresting a minister, a preacher, arresting a preacher in America. For God's sakes, where have we gone? And so if we can focus on protecting these principles and having these sheriffs draw the line and putting these agents on notice what they will no longer allow to take place in their counties, then we're going to win this. But the people have got to be involved in it. And we do training every Tuesday morning on a webinar for our posse members. And we hope that you're going to now join with your sheriff and be a part of his posse, which is totally lawful and totally up to him, and of course you, to make sure that we are organized in the defense of liberty and that we're organized in being prepared. All of you should have food storage, a independent source of food and water. You should also have firearms and ammunition, and you should be ready to respond to any request that your sheriff makes. That's all lawful, it's all legal, it's constitutional, it's proper, and it's a preparation that is absolutely vital to the security of a free state. And so this is where there is a peaceful process for all of this. But folks, you've got to be involved. We invite your donations at cspoa.org. We invite your membership. Be a part of this. And if you need food storage, we also have a company that we deal with there. Go to our help icon and press on that and get your food at Numana Foods. Why Numana Foods? I've worked with them for years and years. It's organic food. It tastes good and it's 25-year shelf life. And folks, you must take this very seriously, that you need to have your own independent supply of food. Look at what's happening to the food supply in America and worldwide. It's not getting better. It's getting worse every day. So let's be prepared. Let's be good neighbors, and let's work with our sheriff to build and erect these barriers against the onslaught of socialism and communism that is destroying our nation.
Well, sir, you've convinced me. I will go to your website and fill out your form. I will join today.
Well, thanks. Good to have you, Mike.
That is,
thank you.
I appreciate it. I think we're getting short on time. So I'll give you the last 2 or 3 minutes. Anything, how can people contact you? How can they find your website? What can they do to be in touch and to be involved?
Well, we want to make sure all of you, again, are invited to our event on July 12th. Everyone is welcome. Come and see this historic occasion at the Ahern Hotel, Las Vegas, July 12th at 10 a.m. If you can't, we'll be making an announcement very soon. Be watching our website, cspoa.org. Lots of information there, including a little pocket-sized booklet that I put together of my Supreme Court case. Everyone should read that case. You will be amazed by that case. It's the only time in history where sheriffs sued the federal government and we beat Bill Clinton at the U.S. Supreme Court. This was an amazing, miraculous case. You definitely want to read that. So I hope to meet all of you soon at the Ahern Hotel. If not, join our posse, and I'll see you every week Tuesday morning for our posse webinar. And folks, we have got to be involved in the process. The last sentence of the Declaration of Independence, founding fathers saying this to each other: we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Folks, we must do the same today. May God bless us as we join together in this holy cause of liberty.
Yes, sir. And amen. Thank you so much, Sheriff. It's really a pleasure to have you on. It was my honor and privilege to meet you face to face. I really appreciate it. So thank you, sir. We'll have you back again.
Thank you so much.
With the event.